Okay, let us look at this example here. Okay, so here fx equals to x plus 2 cosine x, and you want to find out where it is increasing or decreasing. Where you don't have to look outside this. It says you need to just look inside this interval between 0 and 2 pi. Okay, so let's follow the steps. We find out f prime of x is how much? It is 1 minus 2 sine x, right? Since this function is defined everywhere, meaning that f prime of x is defined everywhere, and definitely for this interval it is defined, so you don't have to worry about where the first derivative does not exist. You don't have to look at that side. Okay, so only you need to look at where f prime of x is 0. So set f prime of x equals to 0 implies 1 minus 2 sine x equals to 0, right? So how do I solve this for x? You subtract, you add 2 sine x on both sides. What do you get? You get basically 1 equals to, or you can say 2 sine x equals to 1, right? 2 sine x equals to 1. Divide by 2. You get sine x equals to 1/2, right? So you take the arc sine. So you'll get arc sine, and then sine x, right? Equals to arc sine 1/2. You see that? So what are the values of sine? That gives you 1/2. You'll get that arc sine and sine will cancel out, right? That basically cancel out. So what is left is x equals to, what is the value of arc sine 1/2? Sine is positive in first and second quadrant, right? So meaning that you will have to look the value in first and second quadrant only. So you will get pi over 6. You see that? That's one value. And then the other value will be pi minus pi over 6, right? How much is that? So that value is basically pi minus pi over 6 will be 5 pi over 6, right? 5 pi over 6. So these are the critical numbers. Now what you do is you want to, after you find out the critical numbers, then write down critical numbers. These are the critical numbers. Now you draw the line, right? And then mark those critical numbers. So there is somewhere there is pi over 6, and somewhere there is 5 pi over 6, right? Now what we do next is we pick a test point and then find out the sign of those. Okay, pick a test point here, pick another test point here, and pick another test point here. What test point you want to pick? I want to pick 0 here. Close to, yes, I want to pick 0. That's fine. Let's pick a test point 0. And between pi over 6 and 5 pi over 6, I want to take, so let's take the average. What is the average of pi over 6 and 5 pi over 6? It will be 5 pi plus pi is 6 pi over 6. Let's pick pi. Okay, and let us pick 5 pi over 6 bigger than, oh, by the way, so pi over 6 plus pi over 6 over 2, 12 pi over 2. So pi over 2 lies between pi over 6 and 5 pi over 6, not pi. So pi goes here, right? Because what is the number bigger than 5 pi over 6? That will be 6 pi over 6, right? So 6 pi over 6 will be pi. So I found the average of those two in the middle just to find out the middle number that lies between pi over 6 and 5 over 6. So this plus this divided by 2 will give you pi over 2. Okay, guys? Okay, so let's plug into the f prime. What is f prime? F prime is equals to 1 minus 2 sine x. 1 minus 2 sine x. So I'll plug in x equals to 0, x equals to pi over 2, x equals to pi. And then I will check the sign there. You see that? So can you tell me what is the, if you plug in 0, what do you get here? 1 minus 2 sine 0. Sine 0 is 0, right? So 1 minus 2 times 0 is 1, just 1. So 1 is positive. So you write positive sign there. That's positive. Now let's plug in pi half. 1 minus 2 sine pi half is 1. So 2 times 1, right? Because sine pi half is 1. So 1 minus 2 times 1 is 1 minus 2. It is 1 minus 2 is negative 1, right? So it is negative. So you don't worry about how much do you get, you just worry about the sign. What sign do you get is the important, then the value. Now let's plug in pi. So 1 minus 2 sine pi. Sine pi is 0, right? So 1 minus 2 times 0 is just 1 minus 0, right? So 1 minus 0 is just 1, so it is positive. So since you need to look at between 0 and 2 pi, okay, you need to find out a number that lies between 0 and 2 pi. So maybe 0 is not the right or the perfect test number. So I want to pick a test number. Let's say, what is the number between 0 and 2 pi? You can take 0 and 2 pi, because you don't have to look outside, right? You don't have to look outside 2 pi and I mean bigger than 2 pi and less than 0. You don't have to look at that. So 0 does not fall there, right? So 0 may not be a very good perfect value, but you will get the same answer, no worries. But 0 is not a perfect value to take as a test number, okay? So what I want to do is, what is the number bigger than 0 and less than pi over 6? You can take pi over 7. Pi over 7 as a test number, okay? If you put here 1 minus 2 sine pi over 7, so how much do you get? Let me try that value. So 1 minus 2 times sine pi over 7, right? So let me do sine and then pi over 7. I got 0.13, positive 0.13. So it is still positive. It is still positive. So no worries about these positive signs there. No worry about that part, okay? So basically, you should pick 0 as one of the boundary there. So it is not a test point. So I took a test point as pi over 7 and I got 0.13. So it is positive. So increasing in the interval 0 to pi over 6 and then comma 5 pi over 6 to 2 pi. You go up to 2 pi, right? Because see, it says 0 to 2 pi. So the left bound is 0. The right bound is 2 pi. So left bound is 0. 0 there, right? And I pick a test point. This should be blue color. So I pick a test point that is, let me do that blue color so that it will be easy for you guys. So let me make it basically blue color so that you will know that blue color is basically the test point, okay? So this is pi over 7. I terminated at 0 and 2 pi because the question has given that. And when it is decreasing, let me write down the decreasing interval. Decreasing is between pi over 6 to 5 pi over 6. That is the decreasing interval, okay? Because that has the negative sign. Between pi over 6 to 5 pi over 6, it has a negative sign. That's right. Okay. So once you plug in a test point, and if you get a positive sign when you plug in that test point, then that piece, the whole piece will have positive sign. If you get a negative sign for that test point, the whole piece will have the negative sign, okay? So you should be careful on that, okay?